Hey guys, what's up? It's Threatening here, and today we'll be talking about Pokemon X and Pokemon Y's new anime, as well as 5 new possible Fairy-type Pokemon and Ash's team using the Pokemon currently used on the website, as well as Ash's rival using past data and present data. So let's get underway. Pokemon number 1 is Wigglytuff, the balloon Pokemon. Now, Wigglytuff was featured in, I believe, Gen 2, and it is only a normal type with a quite strangely, I don't know, ballish design because it is the balloon Pokemon after all. But given a second fairy type, it would be a much better Pokemon. As well as the fact that Ash's accompanies, probably the girl if they were interested in contests, would definitely want a Wigglytuff if it was part fairy, or a Sylveon maybe. Now, let's go on to number 2. Number 2 is Grunball. Now, like Clefable featured in the previous video, Grunball is listed as the fairy type. Although it looks relatively threatening, it apparently has a very gentle nature, which is strange due to the fact that it looks like it's going to kill your mother. Now, it's a strange looking Pokemon for sure, but given a gentle nature, I think it would be a tough fairy type Pokemon, or given another evolution, it could be an even stronger fairy type Pokemon. A mixture of maybe fairy and normal, or fairy poison, judging by the coloration here. So let's move on to number 3. Number 3 is Plusle and Minun. Now, because Plusle and Minun come together, I'm counting both of these as one Pokemon. Plusle and Minun could do pretty well as electric and fairy type Pokemon, as with their colorations due to like plus and minus, as well as the fact that they love to cheer for people. Which is a little bit weird, seeing as they're only based off cheering, so they should be given something extra to make them much better Pokemon. Now, let's move on to form number 4. Form number 4 is Castform, the weather Pokemon. Now, Castform, as you see in this shot, has many different forms. One for water, that changes with the weather. While it's raining, it will be water. While it's snowing, it will be the ice form. And while it is in strong sunlight, it will become the fire form. Now, a fairy form of Castform will be much better as a 4th form for it, for another kind of weather change that may be brought in by fairies. Perhaps a move like Sandstorm or something may be called Fairy Storm, or maybe once it was hit by Fairy Wind, it could become some kind of strange fairy-type Castform. It's just an idea, but Castform's pretty useless as it is, so it would be much nicer if it got an extra evolution onto that. And finally, number 5. Number 5 is Pachirisu, the Ellie Squirrel Pokemon. Pachirisu was featured in Gen 4 as one of Dawn's main Pokemon. Pachirisu's cute and fluffy and that, but it doesn't have an evolution. Its growth rate isn't that fast either, and it's pretty useless otherwise. So, in conclusion, Pachirisu is not a good Pokemon at all. So giving it a fairy-type evolution, or something of the likes, would make it just much better in general, and maybe a little bit cuter if the fairy design took place. Now let's move on to the possibility of Ash's Pokemon team, using what I've gathered from the Pokemon website. Let's begin with the first 2. The first 2 is Chespin, the spiny nut Pokemon. Ash always ends up with 2 to 3 of the starters from each generation, so there's a good chance he will catch Chespin in this version. Also, Chespin's pretty useful, and, you know, the likes of things. And how Chespin is very much resembling a chipmunk, which is true. He is almost a chipmunk Pokemon. If he wasn't called the spiny nut Pokemon, he would definitely be the chipmunk. Now, next is Froakie, the bubble frog Pokemon. Froakie is pretty strong as a water and fighting type. He'd make a good companion for Ash, as well as his bubble abilities would come pretty useful. Now, the reason I'm not featuring Fennekin, the fire-type Pokemon, as one of Ash's team, is for the reason I will show you now. The third Pokemon on Ash's team will be Fletchling, most likely. Fletchling is a fire and flying type, which is why Fletchling evolves into a fire and flying type, which is why Ash should have Fletchling and not catch Fennekin, because Fletchling evolves into the badass Talonflame, which is a fire and flying type, and could easily outdo a Fennekin, and Fennekin is an upper class Pokemon, as shown here. It's a more regal Pokemon than Fletchling is, and so a regal Pokemon isn't well suited for Ash. Ash should have a Fletchling instead. Next Pokemon on Ash's team is Pancham, the naughty Pokemon. Pancham is a pretty awesome Kung Fu Panda and evolves into Pangoro, who is a fighting and dark type. Pancham is just a fighting type as it is, and it's pretty strong. Well, it looks quite strong. And it's going to be a pretty awesome Pokemon, definitely on my team for X and Y. It may be a Pokemon that resembles Scraggy in some ways, so Ash should definitely catch one. Lastly is Clauncher. I believe it is the Bubble Jet Pokemon. Clauncher is quite strong, I believe it will be, and it has a counterpart which is Skrelp. Now, Gary, Ash's rival, will likely catch Skrelp if he appears in this region, so Ash should have Clauncher. And maybe, if he transfers his other Pokemon, Clauncher can be taught other moves by Corphish and Kingler. Now let's move on to Ash's rival. Ash's most probable rival is Garyoke, his rival from the first and second gen. Now, it is well known that Gary became a Pokemon researcher to follow in the footsteps of his grandfather, Professor Oak. However, I believe that in Pokemon X and Y's anime, Gary will return as a Pokemon trainer / explorer, and as well a researcher of the new fairy-type Pokemon discovered. And so let's move on to some Pokemon that Gary would likely have on his team. First up is Litleo. This energetic little lion is pretty strong and it would suit Gary well enough. Its energetic nature would mean it would need disciplined training from him though. And while Ash has Talonflame, this thing would go head to head with it. And because Ash has Talonflame, he probably won't catch a Litleo, so let's give Litleo over to Gary. Next up on Gary's team is Honedge, the, I believe, sword Pokemon. Honedge is pretty strong, being a ghost and steel type, so I think it would be pretty good for a rival to give Ash a challenge during the Kalos League, and it'll be just pretty awesome to have a Honedge in the anime. And up to the final part of this video, let's think about Noivern. Noivern is a dragon and flying type, I believe, and it would be a very good one for Gary to have, due to its amazing strength and agility. It will make a very tough opponent for Ash during the Kalos League, and likely even win Gary the match. Gary will likely return in the Kalos League for his research into Pokemon Mega Evolutions, as well as the new fairy-type Pokemon. So let me know what you think in the comments below this video. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.